Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast, where in this edition we'll be talking about another Tottenham defeat, this time at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium against one of our biggest rivals. Tottenham Hotspur 0, Chelsea 1. João Pedro, of course, scoring the winning goal after 34 minutes. Caicedo getting the assist. Now, Spurs somehow are third in the Premier League. Now, we are live on YouTube, Facebook and X, so please do get involved. Let us know how you are feeling right now as a Tottenham Hotspur fan. I can tell you, and I will show you the clip shortly, at the final whistle, Jed Spence and Mickey van der Ven blanked Thomas Frank as they walked down the tunnel. A lot of Tottenham Hotspur players very unhappy. Fans leaving, 10-15 minutes to go, and it was not a happy place today, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I can tell you. Now, back with me, channel regulars, Ricky Norwood. Ricky, how are you?
I'm here after another game against Chelsea where, you know, it is what it is. But I'm happy to be back on with you, Chris. I haven't seen your face in a couple of games, so it's good to be back on with you, my friend. Good to be back on with Kate. Kate gives me so much stroke every single time I'm on with her, and do you know what I mean? She, you know, and great to be back on with Johnny as well. Says it how it is all the time. So, you know, this is going to be a tough one to get through as always, but I'm glad I'm doing it with these beautiful people. And listen, those of you that are around the world and whatever your thoughts and whatever your feelings are, make sure you drop it in the comments. Let us know how you're thinking, because I feel like I've been here before many a time, and we're back again. So tell us what your thoughts and feelings are, and it's always a blessing to be on with not only these beautiful panel, but all of you beautiful people around the world. So make sure you get involved.
I tell you what, Ricky, on that point, I felt very different after 10 games in under Ange Postecoglou than I do now Thomas Frank, but we will get into it. Back also with us is Kate Boxell, of course, from The Perfect Match. Kate, how are you?
Look, I'm feeling like there's three things that are guaranteed in life. You pay taxes, you die, and Tottenham lose to Chelsea. That's how I'm feeling tonight. It was hard. 90 minutes of my life I'm never getting back. And yeah, it was difficult to watch that. But good to be back with you all, of course.
Well, great to have you here. Also back with us is channel regular Johnny Bowe. Johnny, how are you?
I'm good. Everything's going great. Just to wish my favourite football team will be doing a little bit better at home. And they seem to be doing better away from home than they do at home, but we'll get into that later. But no, everything's going well. You know, it's not all going to be you know, me moaning about Spurs tonight. There's one or two little positives that I will get through as well. So let's not just focus on that. But it's tough when you lose to Chelsea and one of your rivals. But things will get better, I am sure.
Johnny, let's not wait for those positives. Give me the positives now.
Okay, well, look, the first positive is in relation to the manager himself. I think he's a good communicator. I think he's very good with the media. I think it's different atmosphere at the press conferences than it was last year with Ange. I think it was a little bit more, you know, they were getting into rows with him, and he was starting rows, and that's just his style. So it's a slightly different way in that regard. On the pitch itself, defensively, I think that things are definitely tightening up at the back. I mean, we're not conceding a lot of goals, but you know, we are conceding, and obviously when you lose, everybody focuses on the fact that we're not scoring many goals. But I think defensively, it's an improvement than it was last year. I mean, anything would be, but it's definitely going in the right direction. It's just with the lack of strikers up front and the lack of creative play in the midfield, that is a bit of a problem. And then clearly, obviously, you see they're blanking Jed Spence. That looks like him there throwing his headband or something away at the wall there. So they're clearly frustrated at something, and maybe that was the tactics that were given to them at the beginning of the game. Maybe they didn't feel they were the right tactics, and that's the frustration coming out. Also, you got to remember as well, you had Bergvall come off injured. He wasn't too happy because of concussion, and then we had a replacement. Siemens, I think, came on, and then he was then taken off later on in the game. So defensively, you would have to say things have improved. I think that you can't say they haven't. So, but it's just winning at home. And so, that's the frustration, I think, for a lot of the fans, and the way we're playing is not very, attractive to look at. But he's less than 20 games in. Arteta was 5 years there in the Emirates, so he's had a lot more time. And you can see by the Manchester United manager giving him a bit more time, things are beginning to turn around for them. So maybe Thomas Frank has a big job on his hands here, and it's going to take him a bit of time.
Ricky, I think Johnny was trying to say there that the game was really boring, and I completely agree. Everyone's been saying to me all day how boring the game was.
I mean, Chris, it wasn't that it was boring. It's that we didn't have any of the ball. We didn't have any attacking threat. We didn't have any midfield balance. We had basically a defensive unit doing what they were doing, but every single time that we tried to move the ball forward or get something going, it got broken down by a poor pass, a poor flick, and a panicked reaction rather than a calm and assured reaction. Chelsea to me played in second gear today, and they outclassed us, they outmuscled us, they outstrengthed us, they out-tacticked us. Everything that we had for them, the long throw, they were fine with. They threw another chess piece at us. The corners, hitting the back post, well, they were fine with every single thing. A crazy free kick, a bit of, and they had the answer for us at every single kind of action. Second balls, they were the first to them. They were the ones that were doing the high press. It felt like the same old Tottenham performance in where we go in there and we've got players to do a job, but we end up kicking ourselves in the foot and in the backside and not playing to our strengths or to go out there and win. We never had a sniff, mate. We didn't have 5 minutes of a successive kind of period of play to build on today. What is worrying with Frank today was that everything that he came with, every question that he posed to Chelsea, they had a better answer for and a better response for. That was, tough to see today. But this is a young side in a transitional period again. And I hate saying that. That's why I'm saying it's another Chelsea game where I'm saying the same things again. Because we are under another manager. We are going in a totally different direction than we were under Ange. Now, for me, Chris, and I know we've had discussions many a time, but for me, the reason that I loved being under Ange was that we always went for it. Whether we had 9 men or whether we had any attackers or any playmakers, we would always go for it. And that would, undoubtedly cost us conceding a goal. But we always went for something, Today we couldn't get hold of it and we didn't go for nothing. It's a similar performance to me against Monaco, where again we didn't get hold of it. We almost played scared and reactive rather than proactive, rather than causing them problems, asking them questions. They had an answer for everything that we threw at them. I would have loved to have seen what the plan was with Bergvall. We know that he can play on the left, but I would have loved to have seen the plan with him. You could see that in this type of game that Frank took Xavi out because it is a very physical game, and their physicality and their aggression was the biggest weapons that they used against us today. Every time we tried a flick or a trick to get back up the field, they stamped on us. And yes, there were fouls in there, left, right, and centre, but we know what this game is. It was a tough one to take after 10 games, because normally this is my yardstick. I judged Ange on after 10 Premier League games, and we know what that looked like. And I was like, okay, cool. I know what we're doing. I know where we're going. And still under Frank, I don't really know who we are right now at the minute. There's flashes, but I don't know who we are right now.
So, Ricky, let me ask you, What are we trying to do? And when was the last time you were entertained?
Okay, so from what I'm seeing, what we're trying to do is have a structure, first and foremost. We're trying to build off of our defence. And we're after having a solid midfield, and there are some good, listen, like Johnny said, I think there are green shoots in there. The defence looks good with Vicario in there. I thought Vicario had another strong game today, but the defence looks good. It looks good with Danzo, and it's looked good with Romero back in there. The midfield with Paulinho in there. I think Paulinho has been a phenomenon, a specialist that we've needed for a very long time. And in fact, an indictment to all of those fans that say buy Premier League ready-made players to go into the first team. I mean, he is one of those. He was a no-brainer that came in, and thank goodness he's come in and done what he's done and had the impact that he's had. Thought that he done tremendous, and he's been a tremendous signing since he's come in. So we're trying to build off of that. We've got a specialist in there that can allow the attack to go forward and create. Our attack has changed tremendously. We don't have no Solanks. We don't have no Madison. We don't have no Kulu. We know we don't have Kane no more, but we've just lost our captain as well, Sonny, another goal contributor. The other highest goal contributor in the side last season was Johnson. He ain't in the side right now. So there's a turnover of players, and there's a turnover of personnel and ideas all at the same time. And that front third, that attacking area, you know, and our midfield going into that attacking area isn't clicking, isn't working, and isn't connecting right now the way that we want them to connect. Now, there is flashes. You know, there was some great one-touch play. If it wasn't for Richarlison against Newcastle midweek, not only did we have the chances, I think that we to equalise or to be in the game, I think we had the chances to win that game. But Richarlison had like 3-4 chances on the plate where he just wasn't in the right position and he was a step off. Then he had 3 chances on target that were tame and lame and were never troubling the goalkeeper or could never have been a goal for us midweek. But there were some nice one-touch passes in that game, and you go, all right, and cool. Well, is that what they're trying to? Is that what it is? Is that what they're looking for? Free-flowing football going forward, but a balance in defence and have a structured defence there, and a way of stepping up and a way of pressing and a way of playing where it allows our attackers to go forward. But our attackers have been so far off it right now that it's hard to see what the plan is, and it's hard to quote unquote be entertained. There has been flashes in there. I was entertained against PSG right at the beginning of the season. Burnley, I know it was against Burnley, but I saw some real nice moves and shapes, and I was starting to understand what this was about. But it's a bit wishy-washy right now. It's a bit Tottenham right now. And it's really tough because this game always derails our season one way or another, whether it's injuries, whether it's tactics, whether it's momentum. All of the good things that we have normally been doing against these lot always comes to pieces. And I just hope that they can sort themselves out, because we didn't have a sniff today. There was a lot of huff and puff, as in, you know, almost like in quotations, aggression, but not real aggression. Not a real aggression on the ball. Not going, that's my ball and you're not having it. Every single time that we tried to make a counter-attacking move, it got cut out. It got stepped on. They had their tactical fouls on point. They had their dirty fouls on point. It was another tough one to take, but we didn't throw a punch, really. We had some nice moves. We had some opportunities, but we didn't really land a punch. We didn't even land a jab today. We just shadow boxed for the 90 minutes, which that's tough to take.
Kate, before I come to you, I'm just going to read you some stats out here. Tottenham Hotspur had 48% of the ball to Chelsea's 52%. XG, Tottenham 0.05.
What
Chelsea,
is that, Chris? I don't think I've seen that before. 0.05.
It's the lowest on record. Lowest ever on record.
What are you talking about?
Well, the comments were saying, Ricky, that you were being far too nice, and I completely agree.
I was trying.
You were trying, yeah. So XG for Tottenham 0.05, and that is not a mistake. XG for Chelsea 2.92. Shots Spurs 3, Chelsea 15. Shots on target Spurs 1, Chelsea 9. Total touches inside the opposition box, Tottenham 14, Chelsea 36. Goalkeeper saves, Spurs 8, Chelsea 1. Aerial duels 1, Tottenham 19, Chelsea 21. Fouls committed 14, Spurs 12, Chelsea. And corners, Spurs had 6, Chelsea had 5. Kate, what did you make of that performance?
I literally am struggling to find anything positive to say about it at all. I suppose the only positive I can say is I think if we play that game last year, we'd probably lose that 4 or 5-0 because our defence does look a bit more solid. But I mean, even dilly-dallying around in the box cost us the goal, putting other players in trouble. We're just so poor going forward. I just never see us scoring a goal. We never look dangerous. We never, unless Kudus does something spectacular or we get a set piece, we just don't look like we've got anything going forward. And it's embarrassing. I mean, 0.05 XG, the lowest ever recorded. The next one up was 0.15 from Burnley. Do you know what I mean? That is absolutely unbelievably bad. So look, I don't know what to say about it. It's 90 minutes of my life I'm never getting back. And it feels like we've got our Tottenham back again. And I just don't know where we go from here. I had high hopes for Simmons. He looks like he's totally, he looks too weak for this league. He gets pushed off the ball so easily. He looks shot to pieces. He looks like he doesn't want to be here. Every time he walks out on the pitch, he looks unhappy. Every time he comes off, he looks unhappy. You've got at the end there, Van der Ven and Spence completely blanking Thomas Frank. I mean, Spence even walked around him to get away from him. It doesn't look good. And like you say, this is an entertainment industry. If you play really bad and you win, a lot of people say Arsenal are boring, 1-0's here, 1-0's there, but they're top of the league. You can kind of take it. But when you're playing this bad and losing, it's really hard to take, especially for people like you, Chris, that pay a fortune to go and see it every week.
Kate, how are you feeling right now about Thomas Frank? Because I tell you what, at this point, and I know some people might think this is harsh and we're only 10 games in, I'm not really that convinced.
I don't want to be that person that puts any doubt, because I think he's better than what we had last year, despite Ange winning the trophy. I know I got some abuse there, and I love Ange for winning us a trophy, but I do wonder if he's out of his depth, but I do think we're still a little bit too early to say it. I'm not fully convinced, I'm not going to lie, because he seemed I didn't like the formation at the beginning, the team selection at the beginning. And then he kind of threw everyone off and switched it up and nothing worked. I'm just not sure. It's all very well being very nice in press conferences. He comes across as a lovely man. He's very personable and he looks people in the eye and he says all the right things. But if you're not getting the results on the pitch, and like, someone said to me the other day, he's not at Brentford anymore. However, on the other side of it, I still think our squad's not good enough. We're lacking so much creativity for them. We're missing Kulu, we're missing Madders. They're two massive misses there. I think if Romero starts, we don't concede that goal. I think Romero would have organised the defence better. So I'm not convinced, to be honest, but I'm not going to sit here and say I want Frank out. I'm just going to say I'm going to reassess it in 20 games.
But surely that is a big area of concern, Kate, isn't it? When you go from, the forward line of Harry Kane and Heung-min Son, and, with respect to some of these players, you've got, Richarlison, who I know that you've, heavily criticised in the past. You've got players like Mawani, you've got players like Tell, you've got players like Johnson, who, can they step up and do the business?
Don't even get me started on Richarlison. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go on a rant again. I can't help myself with this geezer. I don't know how he's ever been allowed to put on a Tottenham shirt again after playing against Monaco. He is useless. Literally one of the worst footballers I've ever seen. I don't even think he walks into a championship team. He falls over all the time. I mean, when we took a free kick, he was standing offside, like by a mile. I mean, what is it with this geezer? Then you've got Johnson, who just doesn't suit this system at all. He was brilliant last year, top scorer, did really well in Angie's system. He doesn't suit this system. Mawani, I don't think I heard his name once, but he didn't really get any service. The only player that I ever see that I think, wow, this is a really good player going forward is Kudus. I don't see any quality anywhere else.
Johnny, let's get your thoughts on today's game, the 1-0 loss.
Oh, Chris, it's very difficult. Like it's Saturday night, everybody's heading into their evening, and we all want to be nice and happy and relaxed. If we're spending time with your friends or family, wherever it might be, we're going out, and you just want to be going. You want to spend your evening with a nice glass of wine or something, just relaxing and enjoying the win. But it just wasn't to be. You know, I think whatever that stat was you put up, 0.001 or something. One chance on goal in the whole match or whatever was Kudus was that chance, and that's it. And Kate mentions Kudus, but look, you have to put it into perspective. As Ricky said, we're missing Kulusevski, we're missing James Maddison, we're missing Solanke, we're missing the spine really of the team. There's a lot of attacking quality in there. Those three players, although some of them are midfield attacking, they're still going to get goals for you this season. Own goal, I believe, is probably the top scorer for us so far. I mean, it's the stats are there, but he's not doing himself any favors, Thomas Frank. You know, he has got a great opportunity to try and make something here at Spurs. Now he's probably got players there he just doesn't fancy, and he thinks they're not great. They're not gonna do what I want them to do. But when you watch it today, it's just like watching paint dry. It's very hard to watch a Spurs team. And it was so exciting watching Ange's team, even though I was criticizing him throughout last season and part of the season before. Like, but as Ricky said, you know, if you lose 3-2, you know they went for it. They gave it a chance. You know, at least they tried to score. This is the opposite. We're going the other way. So you can imagine what it's going to be like if he's still here in a year or two or whatever. I don't know if it's just going to be defense and then we've no one up front. We need an attacking player up front. But the problem is, and I've said it on my own podcast, is that we are hiring players a lot from abroad, and we're not hiring players who have experience in the Premier League. We need to, if we're buying a player an attacking player, we need to raid the Premier League and find someone from one of the teams in there, because you're taking a big risk taking somebody from Spain or France or Germany, whatever. They don't have Premier League experience, like Matthews Tell, for example. They're finding it, they're struggling to make it happen. It's a totally different league to playing in the Eredivisie or playing in the Bundesliga. It's so different. You don't get a second on the ball. There's someone coming in, flying in and tackle with you, and it's intense. And that's why I think we're struggling. And he has inherited a lot of injured players. We spoke about injuries last year, Chris. I know it's hard talking about it, but there was a lot of players injured last year. And again, it seems to be we've got Basuma, Solanke, Kulusevski, Maddison. There's more, the Romero on and off. And now we might even have, I don't know if Bergval's going to be out now or whatever, but it was concussion, it looks like. But it's the attacking part. Remember when Nuno came in, he says, we're going to do what the Spurs motto is, and, we're going to attack and to dare us to do and all that. It's pretty much like what Thomas is doing. But Keith Andrews, I mentioned it during the week. How do we know Keith Andrews wasn't a success behind Brentford? Look how well he's doing now at the moment. A young, up-and-coming coach who probably will get the Republic of Ireland job after Hilger Helgrimsson gets the P45. Maybe Thomas was living off the coaches that he had there. Keith Andrews is showing great potential there at Brentford, and Thomas, it just looks stale. It doesn't look exciting. However, there's no point panicking. Opta, the AI statistician, has us finishing in 8th, which I think is fair enough. So if we're going to finish around 8th, we're going to lose to Chelsea, we're going to lose to Bournemouth, and we're going to lose to Aston Villa. The only concern is that we're losing games at home. Home should be a fortress. It should be a fortress where if you're going to win, you win most of your games at home. And then, if you're going to lose away, well, there's reasons why. The crowd, our home fans are there. Our home fans are at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. You were there, Chris. We're cheering them on, and they should be performing. Why are they not able to perform in front of their own fans? So they seem to be struggling in many fronts. Defensively, it's improved, but attacking, it's gone backwards. And I don't know where we go from here.
Ricky, let's come to you. As I said in the intro, Spurs are currently third in the Premier League table, 17 points from the opening 10 games. Now, Brentford at the moment, who Johnny mentioned there, they're in 12th spot. They've got 13 points from the opening 10 games. So there's a 4-point gap between third and 12th at the moment. So one or two wins, defeats, the table can change dramatically. What have you made of Tottenham so far this season? And what have you made of how many times we have heard in the very few games that Thomas Frank has managed here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, we've heard boos a lot. And when you've seen that clip today, Jed Spence Van der Ven literally passing Thomas Frank and not even shaking his hand at the end of the game, just wanting to blank him, just wanting to get down that tunnel as quickly as possible. What do you make of that? That is not the sort of thing you'd expect with a new manager after just 10 Premier League games.
No, but you could also think about it in a sense that they're so incensed with how the game went and what happened within that game and within their own game that they wanted to just get down the tunnel. So yes, it looks like that he's avoided them, but they could have avoided them and I'm just for balance sake is the reason I'm saying this, but they could have avoided them because they was just like, no, you know what? I ain't got time for all of this nicey, and they want to get down into the tunnel and let it all out and kick off in the dressing room. I don't know, mate. I don't know. What do I make of Thomas? Look, it's difficult. It's difficult, Chris, because look, how many pods did we do? You know, we do a lot of pods together, bruv. And we was on this throughout.
And we've been here many times. We've been here many times.
And we've been here many, many times. What do you want as a Tottenham fan base? Now, a lot of people didn't appreciate Andrew's way. And I'm not saying it was the way, but I'm just saying a lot of people didn't appreciate Andrew's way. They asked for a coach like Thomas Frank, somebody who could organize the defense, somebody who could adapt to opposition. You know me, Chris. I normally say, yes, you've got to take into consideration what the opposition can bring to you, but I prefer the opposition to worry about us rather than us worry about the opposition. But there was a lot of calls for a manager that was adaptable, somebody who could change systems and change formations depending on the opposition that we was up against. To be solid first and foremost, and then go and get your goals. So we've got that type of coach. He is changing the whole way of playing from last year. Inverted fullbacks, overlapping fullbacks, overloading the box, getting down to the byline and getting a cross in, like back post goals. Those ain't the way that we score goals right now. All of those things have changed, and it is going to take a period of time to see whether those things work, because we haven't got. You can see that we haven't got the personnel right now to effectively execute what we think that he can do with this Tottenham side. But he's a coach that, again, the fans asked for a coach that could improve players. Many a time that Ange got criticised for not improving a player. And me and you, Chris, we sat here and we spoke about Bowe. We would speak about one player or another player, but it didn't really matter. The consensus was that he didn't improve a player. So you've got a coach now in Frank who can improve a player, who's proven to improve a player, who's taken players that were unknowns and turned them into £60 million signings. So we've got that type of coach right now, and he's not long had his feet under the door. It's going to take time to figure out if he can execute what he wants to execute right now. There's a couple of examples that I put to you, Chris. After 10 games with Ange, I believed that he was the second coming after those 10 games. I said, oh my goodness, the way that we are playing football, free-flowing, full-on attack, and ultimate chaos. I loved every bit of it. When we hit this fixture with Ange and it was down to 9 men and we were still going for it, even though we lost that game by a couple more goals, we still had those opportunities not only equalize, but to maybe even nick a win there against Chelsea with 9 men. And you could go, wow, at least we're going for it. And I was kind of with Ange after that, but obviously it didn't go his way. Yes, we won the trophy, but it didn't go his way in the league, and the consensus was that he had to go. You know, so with this guy after 10 games, if you condemn him, it's the same as thinking that Ange was the best thing since sliced bread after those 10 games when he was unbeaten, winning every game and winning it by multiple amount of goals and convincingly with style. So it's the same thing. We're 10 games in. It's been a bit wishy-washy. We've had more clean sheets. The defense has been solid. Paulinho, like I say, a specialist in midfield, someone that we've been asking for a long time. He's doing a great job there. So he's helping protect that back four as well. But we haven't had the forward momentum and that forward clicking system going yet. We still don't know who our bona fide left winger is that can guarantee us something towards what Sonny was giving. They're never going to give us what Sonny gave, but something towards that. You know, we haven't had our number 9. He's been out with an ankle injury for I don't know how long. And we deal with this. We deal with this as Tottenham. We deal with the 13 injuries. We just go, all right, and cool, let's roll on. Let's go and put our best foot forward. So at this moment in time, after 10 games, though, you've got to give it to you've got to give Frank at least some grace and go, he's got 13 injuries to deal with. You know, technically he did go for it. He kept going for it. He took off Benders and Core, put on an attacker. You know, he made the right calls with Xavi. Even, you know, as soon as Xavi came on, everything he touched today went wrong and was really, it was poor. It was, for me, it was down to him that we conceded that first goal. He should never have passed it back to Van der Ven. He should have turned and passed it forward or turned and run into space because there was acres behind him. But took him off. That's another brave decision that he done in the second half. Frank took him off and goes, all right, and cool, let's try and correct this. He put 2 forwards up there. So we had Kolo Muani and Richarlison up there for a while. And then he put Kudus in the 10 to try and get something going in there. So he did adapt. He did change. He did try different formations. He did try different systems to go and get us back into that game. But us being Tottenham against Chelsea, it doesn't matter what we do sometimes. We just have performances like this. So I don't know whether to judge Frank on this performance or to just go, is this just another Tottenham-Chelsea game? You know, so that's my struggle right now, Chris.
Kate, do you want to talk us through the goal on 34 minutes? Because, of course, João Pedro scored.
Do I have to?
Spence gave it away. Xavi wasn't. The pass wasn't good enough. Van der Ven lost it. It was just a mixture of errors.
Yeah, it was dilly-dallying. It's the only way I can put it. And I know that's not a technical term by any means, but no one took control. It was like passing the buck, and you just knew it was going to result in a goal. I just wanted to quickly address something Ricky said about Frank going for it and putting on Richarlison. For me, Richarlison's like playing with 10 men, and I'm not being funny. I really believe that. You might as well just play with 10 men. He does nothing. So Dane Scarlett's sitting on the bench. He's constantly on the bench, and he must sit there and think to himself, what have I got to do to get a game? Because there is no way on this planet he can be worse than Richarlison. There's just no possible way that he could possibly be worse. So I don't know why Dane Scarlett's not getting a try. But yeah, the goal was just, it was kind of comedic, really. They put Van der Ven in trouble. Caicedo comes in, gets possession of the ball and puts it across to Pedro. So as Jim said, we was the, whatever the word is, of our own downfall. We you know, it was our fault that we conceded. But there's just a real lack of organisation on that pitch. And it's been obvious for a few games now. And look, I see people in the chat going, Ange ball was so much more interesting. I don't want to watch Ange ball. I don't care if it was pretty football, which I don't even think it was, by the way. We was losing every week. And I don't want to watch this football and lose every week. I just want a normal football team that wins games. But I do think that whatever manager comes into this club, they've been let down massively by the balls, because to not replace Sonny with an adequate left winger is gross negligence. And to put Xavi Simons, you know, you watch his highlight reels, he looks brilliant, but you've only got to watch him on the pitch to see he's too lightweight for this league. He looks like a child playing against men. And, you know, we had our fan base going, oh, we've signed him. He's better than Eze. Look at Eze at Arsenal, what a difference he's made, you know, and the recruitment at this club has just been wrong. So I don't think it matters what manager's in place at the minute. I just think we're just really short. And all the while, Ricky, this one's for you, all the while Richarlison is at this club, we're always going to be in trouble. And I mean that. It's all his fault.
Johnny, do you want to add anything about the goal?
I can't say. What can I say?
Well, to be honest with you, the only positive I can find about the goal is that it was only 1-0. I mean, the amount they had a few chances, and then of course Bentancur could have been sent off as well. No, just in relation to, you know, Eze and all the Premier League experience at Selhurst Park, the whole idea. This is what I'm saying. Xavi Simons, Matthews Tell. You really want to make sure you've done the recruitment right when you hire these guys, because you know they mean well. They have lovely reels on YouTube, and we all jump to YouTube and see, oh, who's this, and then you go, oh wow, lovely goals, and then it doesn't materialize then at Tottenham. And it's similar in a lot of clubs, not just us. But that's what I'm saying. You want to buy somebody, for buying anyone, buy them. Once they've played in the Premier League for a couple of seasons, or they currently play in the Premier League, that's where the recruitment should go. And there's probably a better chance the player will work out. But taking a punt on some of these players, you know, it's so difficult. The league, the level is so high, as you guys know, and you need to be very special. But anyway, in terms of the goal, Chris, look, it was. I thought it was Mickey van de Ven that made the error, but you're saying, Ricky, it was before that. The ball was past him, and he then passed it away. Isn't that right?
Yeah, for me, so Mickey's picked it up and he's passed it into Xavi, and Xavi should never have passed it back to him.
Yes,
he should have never passed it back to him.
And that's it. But the issue with the Spurs team at the moment, looking at them progressively going forward, they're not good. I think in the first half they made something like 10 shots going forward, but most of them were going sideways or going back, and that's why there were boos ringing out at half time. Chris, you heard that? I could hear it on my TV. I mean, the boos rang out then louder at the end. And because Spurs fans, we expect a certain style of play. Even if we lose, we want to see that the team actually were going forward. But it's when you see a defensive, it was like when Nuno was there, it's the same pattern. And a lot of these managers, you know, when they're working at Wolves or they're working at Burnley, the pressure isn't there like it is in a big London club. You know, it's a different type of pressure. You know, they expect you to win most weeks. And you can get away with that at Brentford and get away with that at Wolves or in Molineux or Turf Moor or whatever it is. You don't get away with it at the Emirates. So you don't get away with it at Stamford Bridge, and you don't get away with it at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Chris, you know what, bro? You go, you know, home and away. You'll go around the world with Tottenham Hotspur. You've seen many a manager, many a time. 10 games is normally a good barometer. Give us your thoughts, bro. Give us what you're thinking, and because you're in there, you're seeing it, and I can see your face. But let the viewers and everybody know what you're thinking after this. And is there green shoots? Is it gonna grow from here? Do you feel, or do you think this is gonna be a downward spiral? How are you thinking and feeling? Talk to us, Chris.
Sorry, I just had to let someone walk by.
Okay.
To be honest, it feels very much like the Nuno era for me.
Does it? Wow.
And I'm just not convinced at the moment. I want to see entertaining football. I want to see us win convincingly. To have one shot on target today, have an XG of 0.04 at home. The home record has been really poor this season. Yes, I do always say give a manager time, but we have seen a lot of games so far this season, and when I ask that question to a lot of Spurs fans at the moment, when was the last time you were entertained? A lot of people look at me quite blankly and go, should we really be saying that? We should be entertained as Spurs fans. We always talk about playing the Tottenham way. The board always want to appoint a manager like they did with Ange Postecoglou. I'm not saying, bring Ange back by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying the type of football that Spurs fans like to watch, this isn't it. At the moment, I feel like a Kevin Danso throw is probably the most exciting thing to be happening right now. That is not how it should be. In the final third, I tell you, Ricky, the final third really, really does worry me. We lack real quality, conviction in front of goal, and yes, you lose a player like Harry Kane. Yes, you lose a player like Heung-min Son. They are very, very hard people to replace. But when you see other clubs going out, buying strikers, buying real quality players, of course, Xavi Simons, I do like Xavi Simons. I think that I've seen a number of glimpses from him to tell me that the future is or could be bright for him. Although at the moment, physicality is an issue, and I feel like he really needs to bulk up. And it's very easy to tackle someone like Xavi Simons. I feel like Thomas Frank has a huge job on his hands. Spurs are third in the Premier League at the moment, and I feel like we are in a false position right now. But as I said, 4 points, we could be 12th. But it's the style of play, and what really does worry me is the style of play. And will Spurs fans overall in this stadium, will they put up with it for a long period of time? I don't feel that they will. It's not about my opinion, it's about the collective. And when you've seen how many times we've been booed already in this short time under Thomas Frank, that worries me. And it also worries me about players literally ignoring the manager walking off the pitch. That worries me as well. I want to be proved wrong. I want to see entertaining football. I want to see us win football matches. That was a hard take as well, and I always get a little bit aggy and frustrated when we go out of a cup competition. And Wednesday hit hard for me because again, it was another cup competition where we could have grabbed the opportunity and we didn't. Have we got the players at the moment in the final third? Absolutely not. I just feel like sometimes we're going around in circles, and this is another time. But it definitely has the Nuno vibe for me.
Wow.
You
Wow,
asked.
that's a lot. I mean, I did, didn't I?
Mm.
God dear, Kate.
I mean, they're very similar in personality as well. They're very nice mannered men, and they speak very eloquently, and they have a sort of a calmness about them. But what I saw there with the players coming off at the end, I know what you were saying, Ricky, and you're right. They've just lost. They're in the heat of the moment. They probably don't. But I saw a little bit of disrespect coming out there.
Okay.
And when that starts eating into when young fellas start disrespecting the manager like that, it kind of leads me to think so, because you see it actually even on Sunday mornings in your local league, your local park, you'll see the young kids and they might disrespect the manager and they just don't believe what he's teaching them on Tuesday and Thursday nights is really working on the training, or like what's happening on the training ground isn't what is going into the match, and he's probably telling them things to do in the match and they're kind of thinking, that's not the way I was taught to play. Why is he telling me to go backwards slightly or not play a more attacking role? It just seems weird. And then he tells you, no, I don't want you to go back and I don't want you to go forward like I was, that, you're going to just stay on your line and stay. And they're kind of thinking like, well, it doesn't seem right. And so when they come off, they feel that they were wronged. And that's why I think they walk past them like that. And that eats, and if that keeps continuing and he doesn't discipline it, I'm telling you, it's going to end up where we always end up, and we don't want that to happen. I want it to work out, but it just has. I agree with Chris. I see similarities with Nuno, and we're in third, and people are booing. Come on, like they're booing because the style of play is dreadful. It's awful to watch, and I'd rather be in seventh, and if we're going for it and winning 4-1, like we used to always win matches like 3-1 and 4-1. Remember those times? But we don't do that anymore. It's very rare that happens. I know the Premier League is very competitive, but teams like those games against Bournemouth and Aston Villa, and Wolves, for example, we should be beating Wolves. All the game we're playing better away than we are at home, and that has to be addressed. There's a reason for that. And he's setting the team up differently at home before the match, and the players probably. And I'm only it's only hypothetical. I'm not there. I don't have proof that that's what's happening, but we've seen it before, and you kind of learn when you're looking at it. He's obviously telling them to do things on the pitch that the players aren't buying into, and when they stop buying into it, they're going to down tools, and we know what happens after that.
Plus, we haven't got a clinical striker. I'm not.
True.
And that's not just a digger, but these 3-0 games because we
Yeah,
haven't
I mean,
got Harry Kane anymore. Do you know what I mean?
no,
We've got no one.
we don't even have a Peter Crouch or
No,
we don't have an
Bowe.
Aaron Lennon. We don't have an Aaron Lennon running.
No.
Like I saw Aaron Lennon 6 months ago in the Legends game with Robbie Keane and Sandro and all. I mean, these guys were in their early 40s and they were playing really well. Okay, the level wasn't as good, but they were showing what we used to be. And I want to see that, like Robbie Keane, Jermaine Defoe, Peter Crouch, all that stuff. We don't have anyone up front like that.
Yeah.
Somebody where they get up for the header. Richarlison he hasn't got what it takes. Remember, the Brazilian national team are not as good as they were back in the 70s and 80s and 90s. They have gone downhill in terms of their level. I don't think they're as good. They're not going to win the World Cup. They rarely win it now. They used to always win it. And Richarlison is in their team. He's one of their strikers. And so that's not good. I mean, he shouldn't be getting his game at Spurs. And yeah, we were spoiled with Harry Kane. I get that. And we had Son and all that, and Eriksen. We don't have those players anymore. We need to try and recruit players like that.
Talking about Harry's, they always play that Harry Styles song when we lose. And I'll tell you what, whenever I hear that on the radio now, it gets switched off. Ricky, on the point here, in the press conference, Thomas Frank has just been talking about Tottenham's record low XG tally today. He said, of course, it hurt massively. I've never been in charge of a team that has created that little. I will, of course, look to make it better. How does he make it better?
By sorting it out, Chris. He's got to sort it out, mate. We've got bigger problems than we think. You know, we've got some good names on paper, but right now we do have a lot of people out. And the biggest thing that we're seeing as fans is that physicality and strength are massive in the Premier League. Now, I think that we would have looked a totally different side if we would have got Eze over the line, but Eze's a true gooner and he dreamt of playing for him. And you know what? Do we want a player that dreams of them anyway? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, so he was meant to go where he was meant to go. But somebody like that who was not only a technical genius, but physically a very well and able bodied player with skill and with drive and tenacity, we definitely missed out there. So when we've got someone like Kulu back, alongside someone like Kudus, we start to up the physicality and Solanke up there as well. We get to up that physicality. We get to up that strength. They need to play through it, Chris. These players are, they're all pretty young and they need to play through it and they need to find it. There's no scruff of the neck player right now. Everybody's waiting for somebody else to do it. There's no scruff of the neck player. Give it to me, I'll sort it out. Give it to me, I'm going to get it going. Romero's that in defense, and you could see what a difference he made coming back in the short time that he played. But we need a scruff of the neck player in there that we can rely on to give the ball to, that we know is going to make something happen. Right now, it's almost too nicey. It's almost too we're overpassing, we're overplaying at times when we should take the shot. Not only did Bergvall come off within that first 3 minutes, but I think within that first 5 minutes, Chris, I want to say it's before Bergvall, but I'm not sure. But there was a move. There was a sweeping move where I think it was Sarr that done this overlapping run, and all you had to do was pass it into him, but the check wasn't there. So we ended up taking it, passing it, and then we ended up passing it back into midfield, and then we started the move again. And you're like, oh, come on, the move was there, the flow was there, and you missed it. And we need to start looking forward. We need to start being a bit more brave, but we need our players to have a bit of effort about them and go, you know what? F it, give me the ball. I'm going to make something happen. Have enough of being this type of team that is, with all the technical, players that we've got, being a soft touch. We can't be a soft touch. Up front as well. Like, come on. So it's up to these players. And this is where we learn the most about the players that we've brought in and the manager that we've recruited. It's through diversity. It's through troubles. It's through strife. It's through animosity. It's through the bad times. How do we get out of those? Do you know what I mean? What do you say as a coach? What do you do on Monday morning, or Sunday, whenever you're going back into training? What do you do to go, all right, and cool, this is how we shake it off, or this is how we pull back together? Instead of starting to blame each other, what are we doing wrong? Like having those honest conversations, not just the coaching, but the players themselves. And we're in that tricky period of age ranges within the squad where there ain't that elder state. Yes, Paulini is an elder statesman, but we haven't got that elder in there that goes, this is what's happening. Now that Romero's back, hopefully that starts happening. But there's a lot of problems that we've got, bro. And Thomas Frank is trying to address them. He's got a lot more problems on his plate than we thought. And it takes them playing through it. It takes the grit and the guile of the manager to show up right now and show us what type of reaction that he has, what type of reaction the players have, and whether they like losing like this, whether they're going to accept losing like this. We can't have it. I don't care whether you want to ignore the manager as you walk off the field. What do you do? What do you do in the next training session? Show me that same energy. Show me that same energy on a training field. That you're not going to make those mistakes again, or you're going to make the forward pass that you need to make when you need to make it. Show me that. So, all right, cool. You don't want to shake the manager's hand? Cool. But show me that same energy. Don't be moaning. Don't be saying it's somebody else's fault. Show me what you're up against, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what tactics the manager puts out on that field. 11 players wearing the Tottenham crest on their shirt go out there to perform, to fight, to go to war, but to win. So there are times when you've got to take it into your own hands and go, okay, this is what we need to do.
Ricky, you said there's no scruff of the neck player and there's no one. Look at when we had Jose Mourinho. He said the same thing. Tottenham are soft. We've got a really soft underbelly. There's no nastiness in our team at all. Romero is probably the closest we've got to having a player that's really going to get stuck in. But we're just a nice team, and we must be a dream for teams like Chelsea to play against, because we didn't lay a glove on them today. I mean, it was horrendous.
Before I get all of your opinions on this coming week, Copenhagen, Manchester United games at home, does anyone want to add anything else about today's game?
I mean, just as like I was actually really kind of worried about Xavi today, Chris. That's all I would say. I mean, everything that he done today was very poor. There was times that we was on a transition going forward on the attack, and his first touch was all right, but the second touch took the ball away from him and gave Chelsea defenses that split second to get in front, get a toe on it, be a distraction. And then going backwards today, it wasn't good either. In the middle, it wasn't good for him. There was a nice clip for him where if it wasn't for Chalobah's big size 12 toe, it would have dropped to Kudus, and who knows what would have happened then. But it wasn't a good one for him today. But at the same time, we do have to say that he wasn't in the starting lineup to begin with. So maybe Frank knew that this physical challenge up against Chelsea would have been too much for him. And then, made the decision on 3 minutes. But at least he came off today. I do believe, like everybody else, that there's a fantastic player in there. But bulking up and getting match, not match fitness, but match strength, being able to hold off a barge or that challenge, or do you know what I mean? Like he needs to get that as well. He needs to get his low center of gravity going. He needs to get some Grealish calf muscles. Do you know what I mean? To make sure that he's all right. That will probably be the next thing that he works on. But yeah, it wasn't a good one for him today. But I know that there's plenty more to come from him. It is always tough. I always say, just as a caveat, just remember what Modric was like when he first turned up here. Size, physicality. He got doubted when he got put into midfield. I remember fans saying that he should never play in midfield. He should play left or right. He's too small to play there. But he worked it out after a season. Sonny worked it out after a season. He was about to leave after 1 year, but he had to figure it out, and then look what he ended up doing. So there are examples out there where it does take players a minute to get used to it and to find their best form. So don't write him off too quick. But today was not a great game for him.
Right, so final question for you all. Kate, let's start with you. Of course, we face Copenhagen in the Champions League here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Tuesday. And then next Saturday, we face Manchester United here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Then, of course, it will be the international break. What do you expect from this next week? And what team would you think that Thomas Frank will put out on Tuesday?
Tuesday's both games going to be tough games. I'm hoping we might see Tell given another chance through the middle. I know he divides a lot of opinion, but I think when Tell played, I can't remember who it was against when he scored. I think he offers a lot more than Richarlison, but then so do I. So I think, are you looking like that, Chris? Because I said Tell. Does he hate Tell? Do you hate?
We need to score goals.
Look, Tell's better than Richarlison in my opinion, so I would start Tell. It's kind of like picking between, whether you want to eat.
But Tell's out of the squad, Kate. In the Champions League.
Oh, yes, Champions League. Shit.
Yeah, he's out of the squad, girl. Yeah, there's Odegaard there. There's Odegaard there, but he's not in the Champions League squad.
So we've only got to have.
So it only half makes Chris feel better. Look, he's only half feeling better right now.
Kate, Richarlison is available.
So we've only got Richarlison to play. Oh well, there we go. So I expect to see Richarlison start. That's just changed my whole view of the game. I think we might see a few little changes. I don't expect him to see that many changes. I think we'll get a draw against Copenhagen. To be honest, maybe a 1-1, something like that. I just can't call the Man United game. I've got no faith in us getting points because I don't know where the goals are coming from particularly. And, I thought Mawani today, I didn't hear his name, but then he didn't really get any service. But I think Udogie was missed today. I think he should have started. I'm going to go for 2 draws. I don't want to be too negative, so I'm going to go for a draw on Tuesday and a draw on Saturday. But it's Saturday at 12:30, so if we lose, it's going to ruin my whole weekend. So please don't lose, Spurs. But yeah, I'm going for 2 draws.
Johnny, what are you going to go for?
Copenhagen are fourth in the Super League there in that country in Denmark. So they beat Fredericia today 3-2. They're a good side. I think we'll win. I think we'll beat them. The Manchester United game is the one that I'm worried about because it's again at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and as you know, we don't have a good record there under Thomas Frank. Manchester United have won 3 and drawn 1, and they're in a good run of form. So I'd see that either as a draw or Manchester United win. I don't see us winning. And I think after the final in the Europa final, I think they're going to be out to beat us. And I think their manager is. I don't know. He seems to be improving them at the moment. They're getting a bit of confidence. That was a pretty good Nottingham Forest side today. They played well. They had a couple of chances, and Sean Dyche is toughening them up. But Manchester United still managed to come back and draw that game right at the end, which is so. I think 1-1. Against Manchester United, or we lose it, but I think we'll beat Copenhagen in the Champions League group.
Ricky, Kate, and Johnny are going for a very positive and great week ahead. What are you going to go for?
You know me, Christopher. Come on, sunshine. I can never call my team to lose ever. You know me. Even in the worst of times, I can never call them to lose. We need to win against Copenhagen. We need to show up in the Champions League. You don't work and wish and pray to be in this Champions League and then not turn up when it comes down to Champions League games. The campaign so far has kind of reminded me that of the campaign under Conte, actually, where, again, we cried about being in the competition, but then we didn't want to do nothing while we was in there. So I need to see responses from these boys. I need to see whoever starts that they're up for this fight and they're up for this challenge. I need to see Thomas Frank work some magic and change it up so that the boys know what's going on and they can find their feet again. I need some of them to stop looking for excuses. I need some of them to be braver. I need some of them to be stronger. I need some of them to be fed up enough to go out there. Go on, Sunshine.
Ricky,
Go on,
when you
Chris.
are talking about Thomas Frank and magic, what does he have up his sleeve? That is the question.
I don't know, mate. I don't know. I'm still learning. And this is what I need to see. So, you know, after Monaco, who did we have? It was Everton, and I saw a response from there, right? Because I was really disappointed and I was really worried after that Monaco game. Just because, again, we didn't have no will, no fight, no unity. We was all over the place, and we just let them have it. It was a game that I felt we should have lost 12-0. But there was a response against Everton. The unity was there. There was fight there. So, all right, cool. We've lost today against them lot down the road, and I need to see what magic you got up your sleeve. I need to see what you're going to pull out the bag. Now, he does have a couple of coaches there. I know you're talking about Keith Andrews there, Johnny, but he does have a couple of coaches that he's brought with him. Like, all right, cool. Well, what's your analyst saying? What clips have you got? What lessons are we learning? The biggest challenge for Thomas Frank, you've got to remember, is that he's not used to games every 2 days. You know, so that the players have got a rest day and then we've got a day to sort it, have half a training session and then travel up to wherever we're going. He hasn't had it like this.
Ruben Amorim has more time with the Manchester United players, interestingly, because they're not in any of the cup competitions yet. So that's why they're improving. He's had more time to coach them, whereas Thomas Frank has very little time to coach our players. It's the same for a lot of the teams in the top six.
Yeah, absolutely. But for a new manager as well, you need to have time, right? So, but this is an equation that he wanted to be a part of. Thomas Frank, he wanted to solve equations like this and find solutions for these type of problems. He wanted to step up. So this is your step up moment, Thomas. This is a week where, after Chelsea lost, the London derby loss again, where we didn't throw a punch, we didn't throw a jab, we hardly got in the damn ring. Like, what do you bring to the table now in a cup competition? All of these draws in a cup competition, they're all right, but they're not doing nothing for us. We need to go out there and win. We need to go and show the people that we are Europa League winners, that we are in the Champions League to make a dent, not just to turn up and hear the music. We're there to do something, So I need to see a response against Copenhagen. We need to be winning there, and I'm going to say a 2-0 win there. And then Man United, it is another opportunity to kind of show us what you're about against a side that has been catching a bit of form. And like you say, Johnny, Amorim's going to have more time. And the tactics that snuffled us, snuffed out our attacks today, don't think that Amorim and his analysts are not going to look at those, where the keeper should be on corners, how to disrupt the long throw, how to disrupt an awkward free kick or an improvised free kick. So don't think that they're not going to study that either. So another big chance for Thomas to go, all right, cool, let me throw something else at you and see what you got. But so I will go for a 2-1 win against Man United, and I'll go for a 2-0 win against Copenhagen. Playing roughly the same sides.
Kate, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you, and what are you up to at the moment?
Well, Jimbo and I haven't really been doing a lot on our channel, actually, but that's our channel there, Kate and Jimbo. But we're always hour and a half before every game, we did a pre-match pump up on We Are Tottenham TV as well, so you can find us there. But thank you for having me on. I'm amazed at how positive Ricky is. I love it. It's like sitting listening to Jimbo. Jimbo predicted a 4-0 win today, if you please. But don't ever change, Ricky. And Chris, Johnny, good to stream with you both. And let's hope better days are coming.
Thank you, Kate. And Johnny, what are you up to? Where can people find you?
Well, I'm regularly on Dublin's Q102 in this great country of Ireland. I've also set up a new YouTube channel for Spurs content. Now, I only set it up this week, so I've only a couple of subscribers. It's called Lily White Lowdown. So that's if you just type that into YouTube, or at Lily White Lowdown. Hopefully I'll start sharing more content on it when I get more of an opportunity to do it this week. But look, come on, let's beat Copenhagen, let's beat Manchester United, and then let's beat Arsenal after the international break. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.
Well, if you want to promote the channel on the next couple of podcasts, Johnny, you're very free to host it if you like.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. He's relegated.
Ricky, that's it. Ricky, thanks so much for coming on. What are you up to at the moment? Any more films coming up?
Not at the moment, but we'll see. I've done a couple of really nice auditions, so we'll see. We'll see. They're
Do you need any extras? Do you need any extras?
I will let them know, Johnny. I will let them know. Let me tell you. But yeah, brother, keeping super busy. With my YouTube channel, and now, goodness, I'm on the YouTube train with my brother Darren Hart as well. Talk and Tottenham. So episode 4 is out right now, where we look back on the last 10 to 14 days of what's happened in Tottenham's history. We're going to be filming another episode, I think, Monday night. So yeah, so episode 5 will be out pretty soon. But yeah, bro, keeping busy, and I'll be on with you. You need to be back on, bruv. So I need to be on with you and Craigie and be on with the beautiful people and doing the damn thing, getting through this life that we call Tottenham Hotspur together, bro, because it's always a roller coaster. We always do it the difficult way. We always do it the hard way. We always got to go through the fire before we see the glory. And we're here again, guys, all right? So there are some green shoots. We will see it. We will get there one way or another.
This is one day, Ricky, one evening I could really do with you in the pub right now.
Me too, bruv. Don't even get it twisted, mate. Me too. I've already had 2 before I started. That's why I'm so bloody positive. It's not positive. It's delusional. Do you know what I mean? I've just had a couple before I started. That's all. I needed a couple. We're watching that.
You look like you're in a very grand room, Ricky. You look like you're on the set of The Traitors or something. I keep waiting to see Claudia Winkleman walk behind you.
I'm not allowed to say nothing, Kate. I'm not allowed to say nothing.
Would you like to be a traitor?
No. Faithful all day long, brother. You know me. I'd have to be a faithful if I was on there. Come on, you know me. I couldn't backstab nobody. I can't. It's not in my DNA.
Yeah. Right. I'll see you Tuesday, Ricky. Hopefully I'm in a much better mood. Hopefully I'm in a much better mood on Tuesday evening, yes. But Ricky, Kate, Johnny, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening. And try and enjoy it the rest of the weekend. Come on, you Spurs.